Okay, we are doing this. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's really hot today, so I'm gonna try my best to keep cool. For today's video, I wanted to do a sit down chatty Q&A because I feel like I haven't just sat down and chatted with you all in a while, it feels like. By the way, if you have questions that you want me to answer in the next Q&A, feel free to comment them down below and I'll come back and look through them for next time. So the first couple of questions I got were about sheltering in place. Would love to hear how you handle living alone during this time period, and isn't it really hard living alone through all of this? Hope you get through this. As many of you know, I do live alone, but I do have my dog Cody here with me, and to be quite honest, I haven't had a hard time being here by myself at all, and that's not to be insensitive of other people's situations or circumstances. It's just, you know, for me myself, it's been fine. I knew when I moved out of my relative's place that I did want a place of my own because I wanted things to be done a certain way. I wanted it to be just mine, and I wanted my time at home to be the way that I wanted to spend it. So I haven't had an issue with that. Like, I don't feel lonely. I don't wish I had someone here living with me at all. Obviously, I miss my friends. I miss my family so much, but I think for my own sanity, it's better that I'm here by myself, and for the sanity of whoever might have been living with me. I don't know if that makes sense. It does help to know that I am not home alone and that we're kind of all in this together. I don't know if that's a little bit selfish to say, but it does bring me comfort to know that we're all kind of in this situation, in this moment, just trying to live through it. And I do have a few friends who also live alone, so it's nice to be able to relate to them on that. And I don't know if this is gonna make me sound so conceited, but I do really enjoy my own company. I just know how to entertain myself and fill my time up. Like, I've picked up working out, I've been cooking for myself a lot more, trying out different recipes. I could fill my days with non-stop TV, movie, binging, YouTube videos. I've been getting into TikTok and learning TikTok dances, trying out new makeup looks. Honestly, I don't really think about myself being here so much. Like, I'm not sad about that. It's just harder to hear about all the things that are going on outside and just the circumstances, like watching the news and stuff. That stresses me out way more than having to be inside. Like, this is a privilege. I'm very lucky that I can just sit here when so many other people have to go to work and see what's going on, like, firsthand. But I do think like having a dog plays a huge role in that, because I still have a dog. I have Cody to, you know, keep me company if I do need a little bit of like soul interaction. Yeah, it's been okay. Like, I'm doing fine. Thank you for asking though, like, that's really nice. What do you do when you're feeling stressed? Even though I said that I've been doing fine living on my own, I do still stress out about what's going on outside, when this is gonna be over and all that stuff. When I'm feeling stressed or overwhelmed, I have been going outside. Like, I've been sitting on my balcony. I'll just sit out there, either listen to the wind or the birds or music. It's just nice to feel like fresh breeze, air, and that has actually been helping to chill me out a lot. Ever since I set up my balcony and have been able to just spend that time there, like have a peaceful place. Like, the intention of it is to sit and chill. That has helped a lot. So I would recommend that. Make that space and time. If you could redo moving to LA, what would you change? I want to, but I'm scared, no job or family. I don't like to have regrets. Not saying that I don't, but I just don't like to hold on to regrets or like resentment, because I feel like I'm very lucky and privileged. I'm really happy where I am right now. Not to say I don't have struggles, but I'm just really grateful. And I feel like everything that I've done, everything that I've learned, who I am, everything in the past that's happened has led up to this moment. And I think that's what makes the journey so beautiful. So I wouldn't necessarily like want to redo certain things. The only thing I could think about was like, I appreciate the lessons that I learned and the hardships that I went through. I just wish I could have gone through them faster. If I could have learned something in a month rather than a year, I would have really loved that. That would have been great. But I also understand that certain things take time for you to learn, or they need to happen over and over again before that lesson sticks in your mind. So there isn't really anything, I can't think of anything specific, because I don't know what I don't know, so I don't know what would have happened if I did something differently, and I don't want to compare my journey or my path to anyone else's. Like I just don't want to go there. But if I were to give you advice on moving to LA, I think the biggest thing for me is having a job, having money saved up. That is, I think, the most important, because I wouldn't have been able to do any of this without that. Opinions on relationships with other people and yourself. When I read this question, I was like, this is so open-ended. Like, what kind of relationships? Like friendships, romantic relationships? What is it? So I wasn't sure how to interpret it, so I'm just going to interpret it in the way that I felt like I wanted to answer it. I actually grew up going to church. I still consider myself a Christian, though I don't, practice all the good stuff I'm supposed to. But there was something that I learned about marriage and relationships that really stuck with me and changed my viewpoint on it forever. So growing up, I always thought, like, I can't wait to find my other half. I can't wait to feel complete. I can't wait till we're together and we're complete. It's gonna be amazing. We're gonna fall in love and all this stuff. But what I ended up learning in church is you should never see yourself as half of something. You are whole on your own. And that includes like your flaws, your weaknesses, or whatever. Every part of you, you are whole on your own, and you shouldn't be searching for your other half to complete yourself. Like, you are whole already. And if you're Christian, I know the second half of that is you're whole but with God. But I do think this message is really important for everyone. When it comes to also like self-love and self-care, you should see yourself as whole and not pieces or fragments that fit with someone else. Like, you are a beautiful piece on your own in all that you are. And I think that really changed my viewpoint, because it made me feel like I'm not empty. I am who I am, and I don't need someone else to complete me. I need someone to complement me. I want two wholes coming together to create two fuller parts and growing. I don't want two halves coming together to make one thing when I could have two. And then in terms of friendships, how I view friendship relationships, platonic relationships, I think recently I've been thinking, and I've had this idea, and I've been seeing it pop up a lot more, but I feel like platonic friendships are so underrated. I don't think it's celebrated enough. And then with myself, I think, oh my gosh, like, what a crazy few years. Like, doing YouTube, I've just learned so much about myself. And I think when I was working full-time in an office, you don't really have the time to think about self-improvement, self-care, self-love. You just go. And in its own way, that is such a blessing, because you don't have time to think about those things, and you don't need to. Like, that was really nice. Once I started doing YouTube and I had so much more time to be in my thoughts, especially when the content I'm creating is coming from my brain, my mind, you like get really critical with yourself. And doing YouTube full time, it's taught me so much about myself and my relationship with myself. Like, I had no idea that I still had so much insecurity, so much doubt in myself. I didn't believe in myself. I didn't love myself. I realized I had a lot of self-hate. And I think this is where sometimes I think self-awareness is a little bit misunderstood. Like, I hear it used in such a negative way sometimes, like, oh, this person isn't self-aware. You should be more self-aware. Practice self-awareness. And it's not like that all the time, but sometimes I see it coming from like a condescending place. And when it comes to self-awareness, like, I know that I'm not self-aware all the time. I feel like it's very situation-based, because I've never left a full-time job to go do YouTube full-time as a freelancer, whatever. Like, that is completely new to me. And the way that I reacted and handled this whole situation these past few years is so new to me, and I wasn't aware of how I could have handled it better or worse or like whatever. So I was and still am constantly discovering new things about myself. Like, once I think like, yeah, I know myself now, if that situation ever comes up again, like, this is what I'm gonna do, this is how I'm gonna handle it, it's fine. But honestly, like, you just never know. But I think that is right now, like, in the specific moment, that's kind of the relationship that I'm having with myself, is just to give yourself a break. Like, it's okay that you don't fully know what's going on, especially because we're in this pandemic right now. Like, it's okay that you don't know what to do with yourself. So I hope that answers the question. Are you seeing anyone, and have you tried any dating apps? If so, which ones do you like? I'm not currently seeing anyone. I've actually been single for like a really, really long time. I've been on dating apps. I'm like kind of still on them, but I'm really bad at using them. I'm still very traditional. Like I would love to meet someone organically. You know, it was already hard enough to do that before all of this stuff happened, and now it's gonna be even harder. I've tried Hinge. I liked that the most in terms of its like user interface. It's just really nice and clean. I downloaded Tinder, I think once when I was in Asia just for fun with friends, and to be honest, I don't know how to use it. I don't know what swipe left or swipe right means. I don't know which one means yes and which one means no. So I haven't really used other ones. I also have Raya. That one's okay. It's whatever. I don't really like dating, which is really shitty because I've always wanted a family. I love children. I've always wanted kids, but I just hate dating so much. Can you talk a bit about your process of establishing yourself on social media? It hasn't been easy. I know it's different for everyone, but for myself, I don't feel like it's been easy. It's definitely a lot of work, a lot of time that you put in, and you don't know what you're gonna get back, if anything. So it is a lot about just believing in yourself and pushing forward and continuing to do it even though you don't or might not get the response that you want. In terms of like how to grow and establish, it really is just about pushing out as much content as you can, because how else would you establish yourself, or how else would people see your work? Pushing out content consistently is a form of like manifestation. You are putting your content, your work, your energy out into the universe, and you just have to wait and see what comes back. I was really lucky to have met some really great friends who are also in social media and doing the same thing. I think living in LA helped a lot because there's a lot of people here doing social media, like doing the same kind of work, and understanding how different and difficult it can be. Just having people to relate to definitely helped my journey and helped me learn a lot about the industry that I wouldn't have known, and I'm very grateful and blessed to have had that. I think everyone's journey is so different, and that's what makes it so hard to have a formula to be successful in this industry. But I think that's what makes it so appealing, because you can do it your own way and live your own life. And I think what's really important is just remembering why you want to do it and sticking with it. I don't know, I'm rambling a lot. I'm rambling a lot. I don't know if that answered your question, because it is just like a mixed bag of lots of different factors and variables, and you just never know. But honestly, I think at the end of the day, it's just consistently pushing out content, putting yourself out there, and not being afraid to do that, and seeing what the universe, what God has to bring back into your life. And also that applies for all things, not just social media. What are pros and cons of being in the social media business? I think some of the negatives of being on social media is it does take a toll. It is a lot to put yourself out there, like genuinely who you are. It is a lot to share parts of yourself, and you're pretty much opening the door for people to come in and impart their judgment in the way you live your life and the way that you do things. So sometimes I do feel a little bit exposed, and I need to like draw back a little bit, because I just feel like I feel naked sometimes. I feel very vulnerable on social media, which is a good and bad thing, because I love vulnerability, but it's scary when you don't know how people are going to respond to it, especially people you haven't met before. I've been very lucky to have very supportive followers, you know, who say things with the utmost respect to me when it comes to criticism, and you guys are all just so supportive, and I really appreciate that. But it is still really scary. Another con to it is because I'm sharing more of my personal life now. Like I've been doing more apartment vlogs or lifestyle vlogs rather than just fashion and makeup videos. It's hard to draw that line between work and personal, like when to shut off. I'm constantly thinking like, should I be vlogging this? Should I be sharing this? And I love it, and I also grow tired of it sometimes. But at the same time, I'm thinking, do I want to shut off completely though? Like, because I do love thinking about it. I love thinking about things that are aesthetic or things that look really nice. Like, should I share this with people? One more con actually is the instability. I think as I've gotten older, and I have more responsibilities, more bills to pay, not having a stable income and being kind of like a freelance, like contractor type of work, it can be very stressful when you don't know when your next paycheck is gonna come in. Like, it doesn't come in every 2 weeks or every month, the same way it would if you were working in an office. Like, sometimes it doesn't come in for 30 days, 60 days, 45 days. Sometimes it'll come in 15 days. You just don't really know. And so that instability is a little bit stressful for me. The number one pro for me is freedom. The freedom to do what I want, when I want, being on my own time, and being my own boss. Like, that is everything to me, and I realized that's what I value the most in a job. I can dress however I want when I decide to work. I just feel so free to be myself, and that it's an amazing feeling that I can live off of being myself and help others. I think that is what I love the most about doing this, is that I can make an impact in some way. It's really cool, and I really value that. Second, it's really fun. Like, it's still so much fun, and it's always evolving. It's always a challenge. I always feel like I'm behind. There are a bunch of other pros and cons, but those are the top ones for me right now. Okay, this is the last question. What advice do you have for people trying to grow on social media? There really is no one formula, so I'm really struggling with this. The only thing I can think of is just consistently pushing out your content, what I said earlier, because how else, like, what else are you gonna use to help yourself grow? Being adaptive is really important, evolving with the changing industry because it's constantly changing, and just being engaging with your audience or with brands that you wanna work with. Reaching out, shoot your shot, ask the question for what you want. If you love it and it's something that you're passionate about, then just keep doing it. I think asking friends for feedback is also really great, like, so you can have different perspectives on how you can improve. Sometimes you just don't see that unless someone else you know, tells you or guides you. Having the right purpose behind it is also really important, that you're passionate about it and you're doing it for the right reasons. I think that will take you really far. Ooh, I know, this is a good one. Not having expectations. Because I think when you have wild expectations, like, have a goal for sure, but don't stick to having a set expectation, because I feel like when you expect something and it doesn't happen, it sets you back even further, because at least for me, I feel like anytime I've had an expectation for something and it doesn't happen, I feel like I'm even more behind, because I'm so upset and hung up that it didn't happen that I don't move forward. I don't move past it. Just make sure it's like something that you love to do and that you don't get dragged into the hype of all of the social media stuff. I think that's really important. Anyway, those are all the questions I'm going to answer for today. I hope you enjoyed watching this Q&A. Thank you so much for joining me and listening to me talk for so long. I hope you're all staying safe and healthy, and I will see you in my next video.